Align the side edges, pin and sew up to seam number 3. Place the lower sleeve edges on top of each other, baste and sew up to seam number 3. At the ends of the notches at seam numbers 1 and 2, apply fusible interfacing to prevent fraying. Place the gusset right sides together with the cut edges, being sure to precisely match the marked seam numbers. If necessary, trim slightly at seam numbers 1 and 2 on the front and back pieces, cutting precisely up to the seam. What's important here? You can see that the seam allowance goes quite narrow towards the seam numbers on the garment side. Now sew from seam number 3 to 1. Repeat on the other side. It is recommendable to baste before sewing, making sure the gusset sits perfectly right. Now you'll sew the lines between markings number 2 and 3. Again baste. At seam number 2 you'll end up with almost no seam allowance. Iron seam allowances at the sleeve and sides open. Iron seam allowance at the gusset to the outside. At the markings X and X, cut into the seam allowance, making sure not to hurt the seam. Finish the edges of the gusset and seam allowance with a zigzag stitch. You would continue working the upper sleeve seams of your garment.